Should this be brighter? Let me see. Kinda. Maybe if I back it up, but at the same time, I don't want to. Oh, God, I feel like it's gonna fuck up the webcam. I'll just lower it. Yeah, that's fine. The usual suspects drop in. Welcome, guys. Welcome. Jason's Electric. Brian's New Dishwasher. Scully Bones. Am I muted? You're muted, Mike. There's bars showing up on OBS. Am I muted? Am I muted? Am I just talking really low? Hold on, let me check the volume levels on this thing. Did you turn up the volume on your phone? All right. By the way, Brian, it's funny that you say that it's become a weekly show. Not really. It kind of was there. Yeah, I was whispering because I was, tinkering with the light there. Now I'm a little bit more regular volume. But yeah, Brian, I don't know what you mean by becoming a weekly show because it really wasn't. I wasn't really doing that. It kind of was weekly there for a second back in, what was it, March? But I think since the stream on the 13th, I believe it was. And I remember because I remember wanting to stream the day before leaving town for my girlfriend's birthday, which was that day. I was like, yeah, let me stream. So I think we're coming up in a month ago. Technically 4 weeks. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4 weeks. And almost a month later, I'm kind of doing the same thing, except I'm not leaving today. We can go ahead and somewhat take our time with our stream today. At the same time, though, I don't want to go too long because at the same time, I did start 15 minutes late. My apologies to everybody that dropped in. Alex and DS G5Q. I don't know if that's like your full name. My apologies for being a little late. I was all set up, ready to go live at 2. And then my bowels decided to say, hold up a minute. I was like, God damn it. Right on time. And I was over here hoping to God that it was going to happen earlier after drinking my Chinese slimming tea last night. I was waiting, nothing. And then literally about 5 minutes before going live, I was like, is that what I think it is? And I'm like, whoa. Yeah. But yeah, and here's the thing. The main reason for why I don't do these shows weekly is because I just don't want to stretch things out and I want the shows to be good. And this week there was quite a bit enough to talk about for me to go, okay, let's talk. Quite a few enough subjects that I actually have like thoughts in my head to formulate. But the reason for why there hasn't been a show since, like I said, the March 13th was because since then there really wasn't a whole lot that moved me. There was almost a show last week because I was somewhat tempted by the Supergirl drop, the somewhat surprise Supergirl drop. I say somewhat because technically it was alluded to in leaks in regards to them tackling the Supergirl stuff, whether it be for the majority of which is from the movie, with one exception being the CW, Melissa Benoit, I think her last name is pronounced, CW Supergirl figure. But after a while, I'm just like, yeah, but it's Supergirl. I know it's McFarlane, and to be honest, the majority of my talking points was really on what the implications were for that surprise drop to be surprised, because outside of that leak that was forementioned in the documents, there was absolutely no tease or mention officially from McFarlane that there was going to be a Supergirl drop. And then literally the day that new trailer dropped, which was announced like a day prior, it was mentioned by James Gunn a day prior that, new Supergirl trailer tomorrow. I'm like, okay, within 24 hours. But the same morning that Supergirl, the latest trailer dropped, the 3-minute trailer, McFarlane's just like, hey, look, pre-orders now live. And it, like I said, I guess if I was to add a very quick anecdote, and I guess I could take this out for the time being. That way, I'm not super. I don't even know why I had that. Oh, I was watching a video prior to this. While I was setting up after finally getting my poops out. Yeah, I guess my only little anecdote revolving the Supergirl stuff is that it is a little on the telling side, somewhat, of where McFarlane stands on that property. The fact that they didn't tease Supergirl officially. Like I said, there was mentions of it in the leaked documents, and my hair is looking fucking insane. There were leaks in the documents that were alluding to Supergirl, but outside of that, there was like no official mentioning by them that Supergirl figures were dropping, and that to me is like enough to be like, all right, McFarlane, that's kind of what their amount of caring really is. Do you have the figure arts Peter B. Parker, the one with the are you talking about the Spider-Verse one? Well, the Across the Spider-Verse one with Mayday? No, but someone is selling it on Mercari, and I'm thinking about making an offer because originally I was going to do a single review on this guy. In fact, I actually already unboxed it, and I was getting ready to play with it a little bit more and start formulating my thoughts. But literally right when this... Quick little side story here. This guy came in, I want to say last Monday. Not this Monday that just passed, but literally like a Monday prior, so like almost about 10-ish or 11 days ago. Came in, I filmed box B-roll while it was still minty in the box, and I opened it on either Wednesday or Thursday of last week. Not this week that just happened yesterday, but last week, so a little over a week ago. I opened it thinking, okay, now I'm going to finally be able to play with it and shoot my review of it. Literally the day that I open this, I check GameStop, and I'm like, is this real? And to test it out if it was real, even though I was trying to keep the money in my bank account as long as possible, but I was like, if there was a time to make a move, it would be now. To check that it was real, I went ahead and checked out the cart, and it worked. And within about 30, 45-ish minutes, I got the alert saying your order was ready for pickup. And that order was for, and you guys already saw, well, I posted this on the community post. But in case you didn't see the community post, the Nicholson Joker was available at my local GameStop. I opened GameStop out of curiosity. It said right there, limited stock at my nearby GameStop. I added it to my cart. It worked adding it to the cart. I went to checkout and clicked checkout, and it said, thank you for your order. But even then, I was still like, I wait for it to say that it was ready for pickup, because there's actually been a couple of times where I ordered something at GameStop and the order went through, but then within a few minutes, I got the cancellation email saying, hey, we don't actually have it. We thought we did, but we didn't. Especially when sometimes I feel like GameStop, and I know that this is not a very personal thing. This has happened across the board. There's been plenty of posts on the subreddit for McFarlane, for Marvel Legends, on the action figure subreddit, where GameStop is bad. Similar to like when airlines overbook seats, where they sell too many tickets, but they don't have enough seats and they overbook. I feel like sometimes GameStop does that with action figures, specifically McFarlane. Never so often Marvel Legends, but mostly McFarlane. And that's why there was like an epidemic a little while ago of a lot of people getting their Jessica Cruz Green Lantern figures canceled that they ordered to GameStop, and GameStop was just like, sorry, we don't have it either in store or for shipping. And people were like, what the fuck is going on? So I was over here like, okay, put the order. The order went through, got the confirmation email, but wait. But within 30 minutes, I got the email saying, hey, ready for pickup. I was like, oh, I feel so bad. And I went and put the Ben Reilly Across the Spider-Verse figure back in its box. I was getting ready to play with it, and I'm like, I'm sorry, but right now, in terms of gauging interests and what people are talking about right now, I would argue that they're talking about more about the Nicholson Joker than they are about the Ben Riley. Ooh, my bad. So I had to pivot. I mean, this guy will get covered, but I'm just saying in terms of right now, what's working right now, what's in the zeitgeist right now. I need to do this review, which is actually done. It actually might go up tomorrow. I was thinking Sunday, but I'm like, you know what? The earlier the better, just to get out of the way. So, guys, Nicholson Joker review going up tomorrow. Sneak peek for those of you watching live right now. All 4 of you. Yeah, a very rare GameStop W. Very rare. And this, it definitely was a needed win, considering that a couple days prior, I actually went to that same GameStop and they had a stack of Jokers on the desk. And I asked if they were selling those. And the dude grabbed one, got ready to ring me out. And when he tried, it didn't work because apparently all those Jokers that were stacked on the desk were for pre-orders. And he's like, I'm sorry. And I'm like, I'm trying to. And I'm like, that's okay. But in my brain, I'm like, I'm not saying it was your fault, but somebody here should have definitely grabbed those Jokers and put them further down out of view so that you didn't give me that Hawkeye hope. That hopium. Or put them in the back and stock behind the door instead of having them be there. And I'm like, bro. Were there any post-plats? Well, when I ordered this, obviously, no, because it was an online order. When I saw that stack, there was one platinum. He was, going through them. He offered me the plat, but I was like, Alex, I don't know if you know, I don't like that platinum. I don't like it, and I'm not a whole, platinum chaser to be like, oh, it's exclusive and it's rare. I need to like the actual design, and I don't like the red design. I honestly don't like it. So I was like, no, just give me the regular one. But when he tried to ring me out, it wouldn't let him because those were all for pre-orders. So there's a good chance that a couple of days later, maybe somebody canceled their pre-order, and that's what I ended up with. And that's why I was able to make that order online. But when I went physically, there were, like I said, there was that stack on the desk. And I asked, if I could have one. And he rummaged through them. He showed me both the platinum and the regular. And I just said the regular. But when he tried, it didn't work. And I'm over here like, why do you have them out in the open? Like, put them away. I didn't physically say that. I'm just saying it in my head. Like, whoever I'm not, obviously there's no way to know if the employee who was trying to ring me up was his fault, or there was some other part-timer who just unboxed McFarlane's shipment and set them there and went to take their break or clocked out or whatever the circumstance was. But I'm like, guys, enough with the hopium, So, yeah, I had to pivot to this guy. And like I said, this guy's review will be going up tomorrow. I was thinking about waiting until posting it on Sunday just to give this live stream a little bit of breathing time. But at the same time, we have pretty interesting topics to talk about. But at the same time, they're also not the most, hard-hitting topics. I don't know if I'm going to really splice any of them out as their own subjects. I'm still in the deciding phase of that, so we'll see. No, but that NECA. Okay, yeah, we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about that, Alex. Okay, so look for that review tomorrow. I actually gotta put this guy back in the box because I'm actually done filming him, so I'll be doing that a little bit later, and probably while at it, I'll finally unbox this guy, or maybe I'll just leave him in the box because, as who asked it? D period X D.X S asked. You asked me if I have the Peter B. Parker with Mayday 2-pack from Across the Spider-Verse. No, but I'm thinking about making an offer that on someone that's selling it on Mercari to get it even cheaper. And since I pivoted away from this guy, who I was going to do a single review, just a standalone review on, since enough time has passed that this guy's reviews are, most people who cover figure arts have already covered this guy, and there's a bunch of reviews out there of this guy. And since I still haven't covered Peter B. Parker and the Mayday 2-pack, I was actually thinking about taking both of them and doing like a I don't want to say comparison, but like a double feature review where it's like one big video of two Peter variants, so to speak, one of which is officially a clone, which is Ben Riley, um, and covering them to then thematically say what's going on with Figure Arts and the Spider-Verse line. So instead of giving this guy a standalone review, I was thinking, well, let's now I feel like I'm in the area of knocking two birds with one stone, which is to say, wait until I get that Peter B. Parker and then do a double review inside of the same video of both this guy and the Peter B. Parker. So I'm thinking about doing that. I would also, Brian, way ahead of you. There's actually a little bit of a subtopic to that Batman Beyond one. Because those posts and those announcements are a little on the older side, but I do kind of want to harken back to them due to someone's Reddit post that actually does bring up an interesting topic of discussion involving that Batman Beyond. But another reason for why I also want to wait until I get the Peter B. Parker to then tackle Scarlet Spider is because we actually have a Figure Arts Spidey that is I'm gonna film the review for tomorrow, that is already gonna give us our Figure Arts Spidey quota. And that's this guy. The Marvel vs. Capcom Gamerverse, quote unquote, because they can't really call it Marvel vs. Capcom, but it's very obviously the Marvel vs. Capcom Spider-Man. That I have him right now in the web shield pose. Got some interesting things to say. I kind of wrote the bullet points, the main talking points for the review earlier today. Set talking points may still fluctuate and sort of change as I play with them a little bit more. I definitely want to play with them more today and a little bit tomorrow prior to the review. But so far, I think I'm getting ready to properly film this guy, and hopefully this review will go up next weekend. Who knows how fast I'll turn this around. Maybe I'll shoot a little bit of B-roll for this guy a little bit later tonight, considering that, like I said, I'm already done with Joker, so I guess I might as well. But yeah, got him in the web shield pose right there. Somebody's attacking from up top. So that should be interesting. So yeah, I got this guy. So we got Joker. I got this guy. I have one video that's already been filmed and in the can. I'm actually in the process of editing right now. That's Spider-Punk related. So that might be the video after this one, and then the Peter B. Parker and Scarlet Spider. But it also, at that point, then it then depends on what things are getting imported and what things are arriving. So yeah. Where did my chat go? Oh damn! Amazon pushed my Gamerverse Spidey to June. Wasn't it always June, or was it May? It was gonna be May, but I guess not anymore. Unless I'm confusing it with Entertainment Earth, because I know Entertainment Earth has it set for May. I was lucky enough to order this through Hobby Genki before it sold out, because I know that pre-orders for this guy were a nightmare. I pre-ordered through Hobby Genki. I originally wanted to pre-order through Hobby Link Japan because they're a little bit more streamlined and quicker. But again, I don't know what the fuck happened. But rhetorical question, because likely it was scalpers, and that's always the circumstance when this happens. Where the night that these pre-orders went live, because since it's Japanese, pre-orders go live around nighttime, my time, like 9ish, 10ish, maybe a little close to 12, in the AM or something like that. But I'm up, so I'm like, all right, I'm standing at the laptop at the ready, and I remember that it never, when I saw it on Hobby Link Japan, I saw the page go up, and it's almost like a myth. It's almost like Bigfoot. It was never in stock. The page went up at exactly midnight, and immediately it already said sold out. So unless there's someone that actually works at HLJ who went in there and ordered for themselves, or there's like a secret cabal of some kind, I don't know. But yeah, the page went up and immediately it said, order stop, sold out. What? And I thinking that maybe it was a glitch, maybe there was a hindrance, I don't know, but I kept refreshing, and it never worked. Never. And I knew that eventually I'm like, stop looking at HLJ, go over to Hobby Genki, and then that's where I saw it live for pre-order. Put my pre-order in, and within a few minutes it was also sold out on Hobby Genki. But I was like, all right, at least I got a pre-order. And then it was on March 13th. This happened on March 13th, but I wasn't made aware of it until like March 15th or 16th, almost the following week. Because for some reason, Hobby Genki's messages were being sent to my spam folder and not my main, so that infuriated me. But I got the email saying that my figure has been put on hold because the shipping option I chose was UPS, and the window between the pre-orders going live and the release was so wide that in that time, Hobby Genki got rid of UPS as a shipping option because of the whole tariff situation. And so I got that email about Hobby Genki saying, hey, you chose UPS, but we don't have UPS anymore because we had to, sever our connection with them because of the whole tariff situation. So you got to let us know if you want FedEx, you want DHL, you want that Japan pack something, which is like their cheapest but slowest option, more or less. But I didn't get that email into my main folder. It was in my spam folder. I didn't discover it until like days later. I was like, Jesus. Could have been shipped by now. So I finally got to it, told them FedEx, and had to wait about a week and a half or so. Not too bad. Considering it was coming from Japan, it was not too terrible. In fact, most of the waiting was mostly waiting on Hobby Link to respond. It wasn't really the shipping. When the shipping happened, it was about a week. But it was mainly 2 weeks overall because it took a week for FedEx to actually for Hobby Link. Hobby Genki to move, to respond to my message, to my query saying, hey, do FedEx. And literally days went by before finally they said, okay, we'll do FedEx. Did you want a tracking number? I'm like, yes, I want a tracking number. Another couple days. Okay, it shipped and got the tracking number. And then finally when it was in FedEx's hands, about a week. And for coming from Japan, I'm like, that's not terrible. But it was just Hobby Genki that was just taking their sweet ass time. Like, guys, and which they're notorious for. A lot of other people say the same thing. So yeah, finally got here, like I said, about a weekish or so ago, filmed the box B-roll, cracked it open on Tuesday, so it's been about 3 days of me playing with them. That's why I'm like, you know what, I think I'm ready. So after Joker, I think this guy's going to be the next video, and then after that, it's going to be that Spider-Punk video I already have in the can, and then after that, it's just a matter of waiting to see what else I can cover. I'm still on the hunt for the Bethlehem Batman, the Damian Batman, the one with the coat. I'm technically still trying to hunt him down, but no luck whatsoever. And something tells me that I missed out on him. And what I mean by that is that, you know how people were finding that figure in Walmarts? I think that wave that was being found in Walmarts, or that like release, when I say wave, I mean both that iterants as well as the actual physical wave of figures that Damian Wave is a part of. So that White Lantern Batman, that Purple Batman, the Hush 2, the Justice League one that's basically just a non-pixelized version of the Task Force one. I think that kind of came and went for Walmart because Walmart just got a carrier earlier. Now you have to wait until you find it at a Target or GameStop or Best Buy once those carriers make landfall. Or when McFarlane starts shipping out their stuff through pre-orders. Because right now, officially, I know that I can still order it through like Walmart or McFarlane, like it's still available. But that's a figure that I definitively rather just buy in person. You know what I'm saying? Not gonna lie, that photo of the Beyond Batman in the rain goes kind of hard. Though they replicated the gritty Spidey pic of him in the rain. Though I don't see Terry that dark and brooding, but that field looks good. May push to June. Okay, so I was right. pre-order the new Daredevil Hot Toys. No, you're a big fan. Okay, actually, you know what, Brian? Let's segue that. That's actually a perfect segue. Yes, I'm a Daredevil fan, and yes, that suit is pretty sick looking. I actually prefer that one over the red one. That one speaks to me a little bit better. That Hot Toys Daredevil that just got revealed, the black one from this newest season that's ongoing right now, which I unfortunately still haven't watched. I still haven't watched the new season of Daredevil. And I know that that's very hypocritical of me saying that I'm a fan of Daredevil and yet I still haven't watched it, because that is frankly a show that me and my girlfriend are watching. Like karma is gonna bite me in the ass if I try to watch that show without her. We have to watch it together. But my girlfriend is actually working right now, and she works Monday through Friday. Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, but she works at a place that's literally about an hour to an hour and a half away, so that's practically a 10-hour day. So by the time she gets home, she already has to start getting ready to go to bed, so that she goes to bed early to wake up the next morning. It's like there's no time, except the weekends. And so you're probably wondering, okay, well, this past weekend you could have knocked a few episodes out, and I'm like, you'd be right, but we're also trying to binge watch The Pit. If you guys have seen that show, the medical show, the hospital show, The Pit, with Noah Wiley. And the reason for why we're binging it is because A, the season finale is coming up, but B, this Sunday, that's why earlier in the stream I was saying that there's kind of a similar situation where I'm going out this weekend again, but I'm not going out today, so I could take my time today. I'm not leaving until tomorrow. But we're going to an event on Sunday called Palifest in Los Angeles, and which is dedicated towards television. In terms of like different shows that are streaming on different platforms. There's going to be basically, it's a whole promotional event for these shows, as far as like the creators of the shows and the stars of the shows talking about their experiences, having pretty much like panels. It's almost like a con, except it's strictly just these specific TV shows. You attend the panels, and that's really about it. The panels might have a screening of some kind of viewing thing. And the only panel, there's a bunch of them, and you can pay per panel, so you don't have to like do this like bulk pricing for the entire thing, even though you don't want to go to the entire thing. I love that. I love that you can just pay per panel, pay per event. And so me and my girlfriend were like, they're actually doing The Pit, and the stars and the creators of the show are going to be there. And so we booked it, and it's at 7 o'clock on Sunday. And they're going to be, and since this is a pit, they're more than likely going to be talking about this current season that's about to wrap up. And I'm like, I don't want to go in there and get practically the entirety of the season spoiled for me. So we got to binge this. And we've been binging it last weekend. We've actually been watching some episodes separately, which we don't like to do because this has been more or less one of our couples shows. But to catch up in time for this weekend, there's been some episodes that we have had to watch separately. We're hoping to watch a couple more tomorrow night before the event on Sunday and get that under our belt. So we've been prioritizing The Pit over Daredevil. So, yeah. Brian, if there was a Charlie simp, it's actually my girlfriend. That's her hall pass. God damn it. Yeah, that's a yeah. I watch it because I like the character of Daredevil. My girlfriend watches it for a completely different reason. Yeah, so, but I'll admit that Hot Toys figure is dope. But the reason for why I want to use that as a segue is because it is, at the end of the day, though, two things. It's a Hot Toys figure, which means it's gonna be pricey. Well, it's gonna be pricey by a Hot Toys standard, because by the sheer definition that it's a Hot Toys figure, so it's gonna be in the hundreds. Is it the priciest Hot Toys? I don't believe so, because let me actually see if I could pull up the main page, because last time I checked, the thing is only like $280, which is not terrible. Hot Toys Daredevil. Yeah, $280. And like I said, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think I do prefer this one over the red one. I don't know why, but I think it's like the majority of the suit being black with the scrapings of the red and of course the double D's on it. Awesome. But two things. One, it's a Hot Toys figure. And even though 280 is not a terrible price, I gotta be brutally honest. I'm slightly phasing myself out of 1/6 collecting. It's just it's practically for someone like me that's into collectibles and action figures and such. These last couple of years, maybe not even a couple of years, I want to say like more so like 3 years, like this really started to sting in like 2023, maybe even late 2022, where getting into a hobby like 1/6 collecting, coming out of Hot Toys or even Inart, as one of our topics will revolve around, getting into this scale of collecting at the price that each figure is, you need the strongest forms of discipline. And I feel like that discipline is not thoroughly there with me, because there's just quite a few characters that I like. And then even when it's only just two characters, for example, they are unfortunately the two characters that companies like Hot Toys make an abundance of figures for. Batman and Spider-Man. Out of all the characters that I could have possibly loved, I sometimes wish I didn't love Spider-Man or Batman as much, because Hot Toys realizes this and goes, well, now you get this Batman from this movie. You get Batman from this game. Spider-Man from the 2018 game has so many goddamn suits that it eventually became a trap. And with the way that things are right now in the not only the aftermarket of reselling Hot Toys figures, but frankly, in the economic climate that we're at, full transparency, I've hit the point where I'm like, something's got to give, and the first thing that I can look at and go, if I sell these, I'll at least be able to recoup a really great amount, where I'm not just like trying to price smaller and smaller figures. It would be my Hot Toys collection. And so I've been downsizing my Hot Toys collection to the point where I literally have like, I think 3 or 4 left. There's been some Hot Toys figures that I did not want to sell, but I sold them because money's getting bad. And I've been out of a job since 2024. Yeah. But bills don't care about that. Credit card doesn't care about that. The storage unit that was keeping those Hot Toys figures in don't care about that. So what does a person like me do? Look at my Hot Toys collection and be like, those are the ones that are going to be able to make me the money the quickest, in the quickest turnaround time possible. So that Hot Toys Bane 2.0 with the silicone upper body that I did not want to sell, sold it. My Inart Joker 2-pack, sold it. Some I don't know how many of you will remember, but you see how it's kind of empty right here? It used to be a little bit taller, filled in with some stuff, because up against this wall over here, I had collector's editions of some video games that I had in my collection. It's now lower because some of the ones that I had at my bottom over here, sold them. I need to keep the money in the account as much as possible to help out with, like I said, phone bills. Eventually food and gas needs to be acquired. Yeah. So, as bad, as cool as this is, I can, at the same time, I'm able to at least look at that, try to focus all my attention on that part of my brain that goes, yeah, but keep in mind that I'm actually in the process of migrating out of 1/6 collecting. Because after a while, it becomes a drug. It becomes like, well, if I have this, then I got to get this. Especially when you're dealing with a character like Daredevil, where you know that this will not be the last suit. There's going to be another suit. You have the red suit, but no Ds. You have the black suit, which, out of personal preference, I kind of like in terms of aesthetics, that does come with the Ds. You mean to tell me there's not going to be another suit either at the end of this season or possibly in season 3 where it's like a darker, maroonish, bloodier red, kind of like the Ben Affleck suit, but that one's going to come with the proper double Ds? The double Ds? Please. So I'm like, all right, I can get this out of preference because I do like the black with accents of red, or we could just do all the sensible thing, the more pragmatic thing, and wait until whatever other suits they're going to cook up for either the remainder of season 2 or when season 3 comes around, which is currently being filmed. That Dareman Devil. Spaded 1 McDysentery. Love your name. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, Alex, they revealed Red Hulk and there's been like no mentioning of it. Like, it's still happening, right? Yeah, Brian, and that's one thing that I'm trying to keep myself from doing is that technically there's other stuff that I am actually quicker to sell because I actually maybe didn't like the figure or don't care for this thing, keeping it around, and I'm like, oh yeah, I can get rid of it. But it's like a McFarlane, it's a Marvel Legends where I'm like, there's more effort and money being spent trying to sell this than to just keep it. Does that make sense? Like once you cover shipping costs and then the cut that apps like either eBay or Mercari take from the transaction, I'm like, I might as well keep this. Whereas a Hot Toys, even when they take that little percentage away themselves, I'm still getting at least a cool 200 and some 200 plus dollars. And I'm like, all right, the majority is going towards me. But when it's like a Marvel Legends or a McFarlane, I'm like, unless it's like sealed in box and it's a very rare release, I'm like, I might as well keep it. Unless I do what you said you did. You pretty much did like a lot sell, right? Like you found a bunch of Vita and DS games and you compacted it all. Yeah, 200 for 6 games. So you took 6 games and made it into a lot. I might do an eventual McFarlane lot of McFarlane figures that I don't care about, and I want to like move these. I was being a little bit quiet because, as usual, the mom was passing here by the hallway, and I'm like, she's trying to listen in, as usual. And I am stressed. Is this me or am I thinning? I would not be surprised. Well, as Brian says, I am unking. I am starting to unk. J.M. Herrera, welcome. Okay, and so imagine how painful it is to say that I am pretty much in the middle of rehabilitation, so to speak, in regards to 1/6 collecting, when you have goddamn Inart officially revealing what they've been kind of saying they've been cooking for a good while now. The 1/6 scale Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice. Ben Affleck, 1/6 scale Batman figure. Which was originally teased, I want to say, what was it, Tuesday? With those like in shadow photos. But I told myself those are very in shadow photos. Wait until they do that major batch drop. Typically about a day and a half to 2 days prior to the pre-orders launching, which were teased also in that reveal to be today, the 10th. Complete with a form of live stream happening tonight. It says that it's for the 11th. Either a live stream or a premiere. I can't tell which one it is. But basically, it's scheduled on their YouTube channel, on the official Inart Action and Inart Collectibles YouTube channel, scheduled for the 11th at like 1 a.m., so tonight, which is obviously rather late. And that's probably where they're going to do most of their breakdown of the figure in terms of like what comes included. However, I wanted to take a look at this batch of photos because, man, oh man, look at this thing. Now, admittingly, the Ben Affleck head sculpt, does it look like Ben Affleck? Yes. Does it look like a realistic, like, shrunken down Ben Affleck? No. It definitely looks like the CG double that they would throw in whenever, like, a stunt or an action sequence is happening in the movies, in the Zack Snyder movies, whether it be Justice League or BVS. So there's a little bit of uncanniness. It's probably the biggest, if I had to throw it one, it would probably be the biggest blemish I could find on this figure is going to be the Ben Affleck head sculpt. I think it personally could be better. I don't think it's a 10 out of 10. I don't think it's a home run. It's like the majority of the way there when it comes to like the lower jaw, but something in the eyes is just a little dead. And I understand that the whole premise behind this expression is to show that he is quite literally dead inside. You know, as people pointing out here in the comments, it's sad Affleck. It's the memes from when he's like tired and smoking a cigarette. It's or I guess you could say a bit more previous. It's gonna be the look that they were probably aiming for, which is a nocturnal animal, an animal that has been up all night. But there's a difference between that and still looking quite determined and an expression that looks like he just wants to quit the movie mid-shoot. You know what I'm saying? Love the fringes and the hair strands for the hair, which is definitely sculpted this time around. There's no rooted hair of any kind, but I'm guessing that they thought, okay, it's too short to opt in for a rooted hair head sculpt, like they did with Pattinson. Pattinson was much longer that they were like, okay, we can actually thread that out. Once we get to these shots of the full-blown costume and the cowl probably placed with the mouthpieces, this is where I was like, fuck, I'm telling myself repeatedly that I'm trying to get out of 1/6 scale collecting because of how pricey and how much of a task it is to acquire some of these figures. Specifically Inart, who's unfortunately not licensed in the US, which means that the only real way to get Inart figures like that is to go through third-party sellers like 1/6 Kit, which is probably one of the more reliable ones. It's actually through him who I got my Inart rooted hair Pattinson Batman. And the process was just smooth. It took a while in terms of waiting because obviously Inart's going to prioritize. It was one of those cases where it took a while, but by default, because he's a, you know, technically third party vendor, it's not Inart directly. You know, Inart doesn't. Inart's going to look out after Inart. They're going to ship out their own stuff that they into countries that they get licensed to, and then go to 1/6 and be like, all right, here's your assortment, here's your amount. But once he received it, I got that invoice, and within paying that invoice, they shipped it in like 2 days, and after that, it's just a matter of waiting. And to avoid heavy costs at the time, because this was like COVID and things were being a little bit more pulled back, or COVID-ish. Was it COVID? No, it wasn't COVID. It was after COVID-ish. Like I said, 2023, something like that. Late 2022, early 2023, somewhere around there. And I purposely chose by boat, which means it took like almost about three-ish weeks to get it in hand, but it was smooth sailing in terms of like the intuitiveness of the process. So with all that aside, I was thinking about that process and going, am I going to have to go through it again? Because look at this suit, man. You know, I was looking at that Ben Affleck head sculpt and saying, oh, it looks a little uncanny. It doesn't look like a shrunken down Ben Affleck. Then we get to these shots and I'm like, yo, that looks like a shrunken down Ben Affleck now. Slap that cowl on and take a little broader look at the suit. Now it's looking kind of shrunken down. You know, shrink ray, as Dean the Dick Dream over at Will Foxification says. The shrink ray effect, where a 1/6 scale figure out of either Inart or Hot Toys is so good that it looks like they just took the actor in costume and shrunk them down with a ray. And this is the shot that's doing it for me, or at least one of the shots. You also have this shot right here where I think a little bit of it is lost because of the introduction of the gun. You can kind of make it look like it looks a little accessory-ish. But just nitpicking. That aside, I'm like, yo. That right there, that's a shot, dude. And he is packing. But that's a shot from the movie. It might as well be a shot from the movie. Same thing with this one. You could see even a broader definition of the suit. That I was worried about the torso because obviously the Hot Toys 2.0, one of the things that I thought looked kind of weird was the abdominal area. It looks like it was overcompensating for the the musculature inside there. It's something to me always looked kind of weird. And yet here it looks like they managed to kind of bring it down a notch while still refining it and making sure that it looks like shadows are cast when dealing with lighting like this. So again, here the suit looks nice, but then my reservations about the head sculpts without the cowl kind of come back a little bit, because again, something is a little uncanny on the face that I'm sort of hoping gets refined by the time that this thing gets mass produced, similarly to how they did with Pattinson. So if there was one reservation, it would be that one. But then again, you bring back the cowl, you bring back the different mouth plates that they etched in perfectly, that I would argue is better than the Hot Toys. I think the face plates definitely look much better than the Hot Toys. They got the butt chin, but they also got the slight little like crinkle he's got going on right here. Much better. Much better. I'm sorry. Like, this is just him. This guy's saying that it might have been an edit. I think they're just using the I don't think so, but I think they're using the not, because we're about to get to why it looks a little separated here, because here it looks separated as well. Over here, which one was it? Was it this one? One of these, this one's a little separated, but there's a reason for why that is. And then you have this one. How can it turn its head without a separate cut? So you literally have one extreme versus the other in the comments here. And there's a reason for that. I might as well say it. They're throwing in two cowls. One that is completely conjoined as one big piece for this, like, purpose to look as authentic to the real thing as possible. And then another one where it's going to have the separation right here so he can turn. So you're going to, lose a little bit of the realness, a little bit of the illusion, but for the sake of articulation, which is practically what we're found here. Except here, I think they should have reverted back to the conjoined one-piece cowl because he's facing forwards. You might as well have included that. And in return, you have this like shadow. The lighting getting a little bit thrown off right here, to where it kind of causes that illusion to make it look like it's digitally added. Where I honestly don't think it is. But it's just unfortunate lighting because they're still using that bent one. Same as here because he's obviously turning a little bit this way. But this is, frankly, a fucking shot from the movie. Look at this. Look at that. And this is the one. Like, some people are saying, like, yo, this literally looks like a publicity shot of Ben. And I'm like, yeah. Look at this. That's why I'm like, I don't need it. I don't need it. You know, if I can, restrain myself as strong as I possibly can, then I can maybe turn my eyes to the eventual 1/12th BVS Batman, because I know that one's coming. They've been showcasing it a handful of times already, specifically at the 2020, the Inart event. Was it last year? Yeah, it was last year, right? The Inart event? Yeah, it was last year, where they had the BVS Batman and Superman there. And that Batman also looked pretty nice in that scale. Maybe not as realistic as this one does here, but it was still looking mighty fine for half the scale. Well, yeah, half the scale. So, hopefully I can resist as long as possible in time to get some news out of that 1/12 version. Because right now, if this is what they can do for 1/6, just imagine with some more tweaks what could be brought to us in 1/12. Obviously, it's not going to be as great as this, obviously. But I'm just like, oh, man. Again, my only reservation is that Ben Affleck's head. It just, somebody here even said that it looks like AI. It's got like an AI coat. And I'm like, yeah, they could use some tweaking. Like I said, it's mostly around the eyes. And I guess maybe like the fringes that you can swap, which you can kind of make out a little bit easier here on the seam, helps a little bit versus the combed look, I would argue. But still. But slap that cowl back on and look at this. You end up with this. Do I want this? Yes. Am I going to get it? Probably not. Only because, like I said, I need a show restraint. Because it just becomes a drug where I'm like, okay, I have to start asking myself, why am I saying no to Daredevil, but then I'm saying yes to this? You know what I'm saying? Especially when this is also fetching for practically about double the price of that Daredevil. I think this is listed at like $480, $490, something like that. And then we have the accessories, which you're going to have, of course, the grapple with the hooks, the kryptonite bomb launcher, whatever you want to call it, with the bit of the extension right there pieces, the sniper scope rifle, the brand complete with an alternate one that makes it look like it's hot and ready to go, 4 batarangs, 2 of which are the ones that we definitely saw in the movie. I gotta be honest, I don't remember him using these, unless, again, BVS to me is a terrible movie and I just kind of blocked that out of my memory. That I'm a little sketchy on when these were used. So if you guys can remind me, please let me know. But then I also have a grenade right there, the smoke grenade, and then of course the base with the symbol. That's it. And that's not necessarily the only. Go to Inart Collectibles. This is their page. Not only did we get that batch, but we technically also got more of these photos right here that went to like a breakdown of some of the features, of which include, of course, the different bangs and fridge pieces to make it look like it's either tattered hair or if it's slicked back. Right here is where they break down not only the mouth plates, but also the cowl with multiple faceplate. Okay, so the only one features articulated eyes and interchangeable faceplates for varied expensibles. Features articulated eyes, so the eyes can move. Okay, because this panel right here had me a little concerned that they were going to do the Hot Toys thing they did with, where Hot Toys did this, not with the 2.0, but with like the 1.0, where they had like these plates that were the eyes. So you only had one plate that was just like this, one plate that was like this, and then one plate that was like this. You had like 3 plates. And that's it. You can't do like, well, maybe like a third one that was like down or up, and then that's it. So you didn't really have motion of the eyeballs. They weren't rolling eyeballs. It was like eye plates. This almost made me concerned that that was going to be the case. But so far the description says articulated eyes. So that gives me the notion that no, you should be able to go in there. There should be a lever similar to like the Inart Joker, the rooted hair one. And just move that rod and you can move the eyes in a different direction. You know, even if it's just a few degrees up, a few degrees down, side, you know, like that. But then down here, the two interchangeable cowls. A one-piece cowl and a split design cowl for those that prefer aesthetics or articulation. Beautiful. Both included. And then, of course, details on the musculature for the suit. Two capes, the natural draping one, and then, of course, the dynamic one that's naturally going to come with wiring. It's pretty much expected at this point. The accessories. I'll admit that I don't want to. Ooh, never mind. I was gonna say that I feel like it is a little low on the accessory sides, but when the amount of work is put into that head sculpt that it almost looks lifelike, like a movie still, and then on top of that, your batarangs are actually going to be made out of die cast. Yeah, never mind. That's fine. I was gonna nitpick that we don't have too many accessories, but then when the quality's upticked on both the figure and the accessory you're getting to the point where the batarangs are going to be die cast, I'm like, all right, you guys are fine. Never mind. I take it back. I definitely take it back. It's fine. Plus, we're about to break down. Also, it looks like no, that's about the same. Yeah, you know what? I'm being a bitch. This this is enough, especially when the two cowls and the faceplates. Yeah, this is enough. And plus, looking here, the fact that there's no actual like eye plates and they show the mouth plates, but they don't show the eye plates means okay, yeah, the eyes are movable, or articulated with like the little rod, like originally planned. So cool. And as I was kind of like foreshadowing a little bit, there was apparently a live stream over in China through I think Bilibili. So it wasn't on YouTube, wasn't on Facebook or Instagram or anything like that. It was Bilibili because people had to like screen grab it and then translate it as its own form of document on the Hot Toys subreddit. Let me check out the chat here before I move on. Where you're placing your pre-order, I'm thinking 1/6 kit. I'm thinking 1/6 kit too as well. Action figures by Piero. Welcome. Can't tell if you're Portuguese or Brazilian, but I know that's Portuguese. But yeah, yeah. Actually, I wonder if I can do it. If I can do it. Oh wait, wrong page. Let me see. Yath. Yeah, Brian, I'm thinking 1/6 kit, which we have right here. NRD is a cool $100. 99. Total is 459. Okay, I thought it was more. I thought it was like 480, 485. So the balance after is going to be 360 once everything is counted. Cutoff is June 8th. Is the cutoff real? Sometimes they say that it is, and sometimes it's not. And then it's set for release sometime in Q1 2027, which makes sense. Q1, so between January and March 2027. All right. But yeah, I'm thinking 1/6 kit. Okay. Yeah. Mother's floating around again. Lumen. Floating. But going back to that live stream that was done today, which I'm guessing they wanted to prioritize on Bilibili and then do a second and possibly even a third one on YouTube in the next preceding 2 days or so. Apparently some people were able to take some key points and translate them, though I feel like the translation could be a little better because even some of the comments are saying that this is a little confusing based on what's kind of it being iterated here. Let me see if I could bring up the subreddit or the Reddit post. List of updates from a recent Inart livestream, mostly concerning around the BVS Batman. So it says key points from April 10th Inart livestream. Number 1, the chest emblem will definitely be redesigned. Are they talking about BVS Batman? Because I gotta be honest, I don't know if any of you guys thought so, but apparently there's people thinking that the chest plate needs to be refined. I didn't personally see any problems with it, but could just be me. A casual outfit Ben Affleck batsuit free version is highly requested and being considered. Possibly the blue dress shirt and the vest look that he had at the beginning of the movie. Possibly a funeral version, which I think gets mentioned a little bit more here. We'll see. Desert Batman will likely be made if demand stays strong. So the Nightmare Batman. Join the club, because I think at this point so many companies have already tackled their own that it's probably a certainty at this point. A Batcave or Batman armory setup is being considered. That's cute. I'm willing to not bet any money that they're gonna make it. That's way too much of an endeavor. I feel like they would rather prioritize the figures than any kind of like dioramas, because I don't think they're at that point yet. I personally don't think that they have the bandwidth for that right now. 1/6 scale Ben Affleck Batman is planned for release. Okay, so that's one of those points where I was like, is this translated weird? Because I wanna interpret this of them saying that basically their goal is to release this figure this year, to where they've been cooking it for so long that they're kind of now at the point where what you see in the photos is effectively not necessarily just the prototype. It's actually close to final release. So maybe they'll make a couple tweaks here and there, like they mentioned here, the bat symbol, which I personally didn't see a problem with, but okay. And then that's it. And they're like, we're going to start mass production because we don't want to be Hot Toys where we show you something, it's just a prototype of literally one unit, and then you don't hear about this figure for literally about a year. You know? And to give them credit, I know you guys are going to hate hearing this, but to give them credit, McFarlane Toys is kind of like that versus Marvel Legends. Marvel Legends, whenever they do a live stream, which they just confirmed they're going to have a new one this Tuesday, so I might stream next week. Might. If there's enough Spidey goodness on that live stream and I feel motivated enough to do it, there might be another live stream next week because Hasbro Pulse got a Marvel Legends stream next week. We'll see. Dan is undoubtedly going to temper the expectations like he always does the day before, setting expectations because I can do that. Anyways, but I do notice that with Hasbro Pulse, you sometimes get something different from what you see on that table versus what you get in store. Whereas McFarlane, they're like, hey, what you actually see in the photograph is actually what gets released. So now sometimes that might not work in their favor, but at least there's a hustle there. And it seems like Inart's trying to do something like that. And that's probably what they said right here. Inart, 1/6 scale Ben Affleck Batman. Because they put Ben Affleck Batman. They don't say Ben Affleck Bruce Wayne. And over here, they say... That's why I feel like the translation... Because they didn't say Bruce Wayne, they said Batman. So I can only interpret that as them saying that this figure right here that they finally have that went up for pre-order today will get released for sure by the end of this year. At least overseas. If not... Q1 2027, which is the safety net that 1/6 Kids set for themselves. Gandalf the White will be made, but not releasing this year. So still in preliminary stages. Oh, I skipped one. Sorry. The Joker license. This one's weird. The Joker license has one last use remaining. Will release a premium version at the right time. Again, we need some more details here from the translation. Which Joker? Are we talking about Joaquin? Heath? I was gonna say others, but something tells me that's it. Those are the only two bankable ones. My money is on the long rumored 2.0 of the Ledger Joker. Like taking everything they learned up until this point and going back to their first ever release, which was the Rooted Hair 2-pack, looking at it and going, what can we fix? What can we refine? And give J&D a reason to finally shut down. That's what my money is on. I don't think it's going to be like a bank robber or the nurse one, which I heard they're not going to do at all because apparently there's a problem with that appearance, I guess. So my money is just that they're just going to remake the original and be like, all right, we're going to clean it up. We're going to take everything that we learned up until this point, and here you go. Justice League Armored Ben Affleck Batman, so the tactical suit is under consideration, naturally. Just like I mentioned, there's probably going to be other Batman that are going to come with other accessories that I was thinking about when looking at the full lineup of accessories for this one. Game of Thrones license is currently being negotiated, so nothing confirmed, nothing set in stone. The Matrix line is in development. We'll see if that comes to fruition, because it looks like the Matrix line is getting like divvied, where Hot Toys is releasing a reloaded Neo, but then Jazz Inc. is doing pretty much every other character from the first movie. So I don't know how that's going to work out. Additional updates. Desert Batman and Funeral Suit Ben Affleck Batman are confirmed. So again, we have consideration over here, but then confirmation over here. So are we talking about the same scale though, or are they talking about 1/12? Just like some comments here are saying, like, what are they talking about? I'm trying to remember where I saw the... Yeah, I don't entirely trust other stations, but I don't like the update. Yeah, like there's some comments pointing out that there's some like contradictory mentions in the 2 pages. It's weird. Full lineup for Lord of the Rings Fellowship characters to be completed. Hobbit lineup is planned for this year. I don't know if that's a good idea. Saruman is currently in development. Resident Evil is something they want to do, but licensing is difficult. Curious. Are they talking about games or the movies? I'm praying it's the games. It's likely the games, considering that the games are probably the more bankable ones, but like because of that, they're probably the most difficult license to get. Voldemort is being considered. I honestly think they're shooting themselves in the foot if they don't start already pre-development on a Voldemort. After that, Snape, because Snape was revered. A lot of people are loving that Snape. And I'm like, I think you need to start fast-tracking Voldemort, in my opinion. Men in Black figures. Okay. Michael Jackson products will continue. All right. Sirius Black likely coming this year. That's pretty fast. See, Superman and the Batman Who Laughs official photos have been shot. Official photos? Already? I can only assume that they're talking about the 1/12 because we've seen those prototypes. Because in 1/6, there was never a mention, and now out of nowhere they got photos already shot. It's got to be 1/12. That's where I'm like, okay, can we get some specifics? Because I'm willing to bet that this is 1/12, not 1/6. Because I do know that those 1/12s exist, those prototypes. But 1/6, I'm like, what? A Bold Demon King set is being considered. I'm thinking that that's Wukong related. Supergirl and Lobo are confirmed. Movie tie-in, of course. Just like with recently with the Corn Sweat Superman. Considering opening a physical store in Guangzhou. Okay. That'd be dope. Kind of like how Medicom Mafex has one over there. In Japan. A new high popularity flagship IP will debut at Wonder Festival. Any guesses as to what that is? For Doom Part 2, or future installments, 3 to 4 characters are planned. Paul's mother, Robert Pattinson. Like, I just put Robert Pattinson there. I'll put his character's name. Dual Form Paul, 2 versions. Dual Form. What does that mean? Is that the Part 3 Paul with the shaven head? Probably. So, yeah, there's some weird contradictory information there that is tough to kind of, break down because of translations. But, yeah. Inart, it looks like Inart's finally getting back on the treadmill after the break. I noticed the lack of Marvel Legends topics on your last couple of live streams. Stupid. With the smoking. Yeah, because there's nothing from them. Which is why I'm like, all right, a Marvel Legends stream next week. We'll see. But I'm telling you right now, Brian, if that Marvel Legends, actually, hold on, can I? What I know it's on Tuesday, the 14th. But what time was it at? Oh wow, Mike's Toys and Stuff finally has the Joker in hand. Interesting. Where is Paternia? Ooh. Oh yeah, okay. It's Tuesday the 14th at 11 a.m. Eastern. That's 8 a.m. my time. So yeah, I'll check out the highlights when I wake up. And I don't know about that day, but maybe that Thursday, I'll take whatever I look at it and go, okay, that's worthy being talked about, and maybe pocket it into its own topic for a live stream. If there's enough there, if they literally just have like one Spider-Man out of a bunch of other characters that I don't care about, I'll just probably do a community post and that's it, if I'm being honest. I mean, I'm just being fully transparent. That's how I'm feeling about those. While we're on the subject of general consumer figures like Marvel Legends or McFarlane Toys, we also got Mattel DC figures finally in their carded not collectible, technically speaking, but in the carded package, almost getting ready for prime time, aka retail. The DC figures here, courtesy of who I just mentioned, Paternia.com, Paternia over on Instagram / Twitter / X, which I'm now banned from, apparently. I lost my Twitter account. For those of you, I haven't mentioned this actually. I don't know what happened. I was literally chilling with my girlfriend last week. I go into Twitter just to check news and check my feed. Big, bright, bold letters at the top. You've been suspended. Permanently suspended. Because you broke rules. What rules? And I go into my email. And once again, I don't know what is causing this, but the email was sent to my spam, not to my main inbox. I go into my spam. There's an email from X saying you've been suspended for violating the following rules. And it says inauthentic behavior. And apparently under that subcategory, it's like spamming tweets or reposts or like doing things inauthentically, like, hawking links or doing things like that. Obviously, you guys can't see it anymore, but I would tweet on average or post on X on average like once every other week, every 3 weeks maybe. And then I would repost or reply to somebody's post about once a week. Maybe once every 5 to 6-ish days. I submitted an appeal and then literally Wednesday. Because I remember it saying the 8th. Wednesday, I got a response once again to my spam account. That was my spam folder. From X saying, we revise your appeal. Nope, we're sticking with our decision, and we will not be responding back. Thank you for your time. Got fucked. Get fucked, effectively. So I couldn't see these photos on Twitter, but I was able to see them on Instagram. And so we have these photos of carded Robin. There's the Batman that I am leaning towards picking up, especially after hearing that the price is actually pretty nice, $12.99. And I'm like, yeah, I know it's intended for kids, and I told myself that if it's for the right price and it's not, crazy marked, I will pick it up for experimentation, for reviewing purposes, for content purposes. And it looks like at $12.99, I'm thinking to myself, that's actually not bad. So yeah, I'll definitely be picking this up, maybe even dipping into Robin. Pause. That was bad phrasing. But maybe even do a Robin as like a companion piece. And then over here on the side, I'll definitely be skipping only because I just don't have that great of an affinity with the character, but the Flash, and then the Joker. Although the Joker might be a pickup because he comes with the heads. That's actually kind of neat. So I might just say fuck it and get the whole wave at that point. I don't know. But it does beg the question if these guys are getting ready much sooner than anticipated, because I think initially it was what, spring of 2026 they said that these figures are going to start making the rounds in store. The fact that they're already in package, I mean, we're more or less already in springtime, but I know that this whole thing with Mattel taking over was more officially set for like what, July of 2026. So the fact that they're already carded, I'm like, I don't know. Could it be a little earlier? Could it be like, where are we? April? Maybe ends of May, beginnings of June. Especially if they do that whole thing where it's like, some of those shipping containers reach the coast a little from manufactured over at oh no, they're being manufactured in Vietnam, aren't they? They're Vietnam based now. YouTube, don't delete part of what I typed. Hello, like, huh? That's so stupid though. Like, what? Another thing regarding my Twitter account getting banned is that I've been hearing, not just Twitter, but even YouTube, and YouTube is the one that scares me the most, is that people are getting either demonetized or getting the whole shit shut down because of that whole excuse, inauthentic behavior. But the reason why is because of those AI tools, where it's really not even a person, it's like a bot scanning things, and you can't argue with it. It can't be reasoned with, it can't be bargained with, it will never stop. And recently I heard a case about a YouTuber who animates these like short things that does really good creative work. It was Jax Films, that's his name, with the 3 J's, who shed light on this subject by saying that there was this account there was this YouTuber who does these like cartoon shorts, these musical cartoon shorts, that got demonetized because the system inside of YouTube said that his stuff is inauthentic. And when he dug into it, it turned out that it was the shorts, but the shorts were just miniaturized, spliced out versions of his long form videos. It's his content. He's just reshaping it and splicing it into a short on his own, on their own. I don't know if it's a he or a she, but that creator. But because of that, YouTube was like, oh no, this is repetitive stuff, we're going to demonetize you. But it's his stuff. But it's because it's this AI tool that now platforms like YouTube, Instagram, Twitter /X, whatever you want to call it, upon implementing these tools, they're turning into cancer. And I'm not even being facetious when I say cancer. You know how one of the worst things about cancer is that it sometimes can happen to like the healthiest person? I know it gets a little morbid there, but just stick with me, where like someone who never smoked and took care of their health, ate a balanced diet, did exercise, a lot of cardio, etc., gets lung cancer. I'm using that analogy because YouTube is now doing that same thing, where it's someone who does everything by the book, follows the community guidelines, doesn't violate TOS, does everything right, gets screwed over. I'm like, damn, man. I'm already getting inadvertently screwed over because now I'm seeing it in my analytics too. Like, again, I've said this already a couple times in the last 2 or so streams, where views aren't great on the channel right now. Subscribership is not great on the channel right now. Revenue is not great on the channel right now. And that's because it's prioritizing shorts. But because I haven't been posting that many shorts, admittedly, and I know that, someone can hear that and go, well, why don't you work on shorts? I'm sorry, I just don't like them. If I start doing them, I'm going to be phoning it in. That's why the exception to the rule for shorts was getting McFarlane figures or some kind of figure where I can buy and look at it and go, that's going to be a short. Like right now, the best example of a short for a figure would either be maybe that Damien Batman that I was mentioning before, or if I ever find it in store, which could still happen, I'm not ruling it out, but we'll see, is the Brandon Routh Superman. That's definitively a short. I don't feel like doing a long form review on that guy, but I would most definitely want to do a short. But lo and behold, I did not pre-order that Brandon Routh Superman that went live yesterday. Was it yesterday? Yeah, it was yesterday. Because right now, the economy is just doing bad that I'm like, if I want to put $25 to $27 on a figure, I really want it to be a Batman. I don't want it to be a Superman, especially when I already know, unfortunately, again, hoping that I can find it in me to become ignorant like others, especially when I know that Superman is just the Christopher Reeve Superman, just with a different head sculpt and different decals. But otherwise, it's the same figure. So I'm like, I couldn't move myself to wake up early to put down that pre-order, because I'm like, if I have $25 to $27 reserved, I'd rather put it towards either that Damien Batman that I'm on the hunt for, or just save it for a rainy day. Because the money's bad right now like that. There was a time back in 2021, 2022, where when I did see a figure that looked kind of interesting enough for a short, I would pick it up. You know, few questions asked. I'm not going to say no questions asked, but a few questions asked, and then get home and do that short. And that's when I was posting a bunch of shorts to line up with the output of long form content. And that's why the channel actually was blowing up at the time that it did. But ever since then, yeah, the subscribers practically stopped. Viewership is here or there. Like right now, my latest video was the Gong Studios Hush Batman. It's been 3 days, hasn't even cracked 1,000. But as Phenonymous 305 mentioned, welcome to the stream. Your Catwoman review was on point. Thank you. Greatly appreciate that. That video is actually not doing too bad. 2.3K. Granted, it's been 10 days. We're on the cusp of hitting 2 weeks since that video went up. And let's not mince words. It definitely would have done better if I had gotten the Catwoman a little sooner, because by now, all the usual suspects that cover action figures that everybody loves has already done their video. Just being honest. And if I'm not doing a short of it, people with those attention spans are not going to watch the video and be like, 30 minutes? No. Okay, then. Either add it to your save for watch later and watch it in chunks, or just don't watch it. That's all you can do. So yeah, and lately I have been doing these like regiments of going into my analytics, and then not only looking at my own personal analytics of what is hitting and what it's not, but the one that has kind of depressed me a little bit is going into the audience tab, which then shows what people are watching in terms of long form and short form. And trust me, the majority of the time it's short form. When I go into like top 10 all, you know, because there's like a video section, a short section, and then there's all that mixes both the videos and the shorts. When I click on all, the top 10 videos that my audiences are watching it, 7 of them are shorts. Only 3 are actually long. Oh no, I'm sorry. I think it's like 30 pieces of content. Because there's like 3 tabs that I flip through. And in those 30, I think like 25 are shorts. And then the other 5 are actually long form content. And when I check out what the long form content are, it's from, like I said, reviewers that usually get the stuff a little earlier and put out the reviews early. And it's because of that earliness that people click on the video and be like, is it cool? Is it good? Is it recommended? Okay, I'm out. And that's it. They just want to hear, is it good or bad, and out. And that's, of course, and I'm not blaming those creators. It's just the way that audiences fluctuate. But those creators, like D Hunter, regarding McFarlane's D Hunter, Ahsoka the Geek, Brad the DC Universe Nerd, I think his name. What's another one? And then over on Marvel Legends, Robo Don't Know, who I really like. I really like Robo Don't Know. I watched his content a couple of times now. Really dynamic stuff. I I really want to know what camcorder that is because it's really quality. Because for the longest time, camcorders had a bad rap, not being as good as DSLRs, and now I feel like it's kind of coming back around to camcorders being dope. So yeah, then I flipped through the content, and there's even a couple of videos where it's from these creators that do nothing but just talk shit about other content creators. One of which I understand. I'm like, I'm not the biggest fan of this guy, but you guys are also kind of reaching and using like erroneous thumbnails where I'm like, all right, come on now. I saw the Gong video too, also good. It's a shame, bro. Your vids are high quality, sucks that other low effort creators get all the clicks. Yeah. And this subject, this whole thing actually almost got me by the ankle and dragged me into the abyss a few weeks ago. Full confession. I sort of, as the kids like to say, sort of crashed out on the McFarlane Toys subreddit. Thankfully, by the end of the day, I took a breath and I was like, all right, if the post gets deleted, that's fine. That's completely fine. No qualms here. And it did get deleted. And I was like, all right, it's fine. I'm not going to fight it. I was actually just kind of laughing at myself and, like I said, just breathing it. And I'm like, all right, I'm moving on. But if they left it up, they left it up. I would have been like, well, I'm not saying anything else. But yeah, I mildly crashed out. And even though I don't change what I said in that post, I also wish I could have articulated it better. Yeah. Because it pretty much piggybacks on what Phenonymous is saying, where it's like, you know, my OCD gets the better of me of why it is that we can't have reviews where we have cuts and we have close-ups, focus pulls, you know, pans with my gimbal, where we can, you know, kind of put a side-to-side comparison by shooting the same shot twice with a different figure and then cropping it together in editing. Like, why can't we do that? And when I post a video, it does moderately well, but then, you know, it's difficult to not feel the sting when you see someone who literally just sets up the camera, one shot, and they're just doing this with the figure, focus in, focus out, focus in, focus out on auto, but it's the same shot, one take. Audio's probably being recorded from the camera, not from a mic or anything. But because they got the figure early, video does like 10, 20,000 views on YouTube. Okay. Skelly Bones, I think I saw that post. Yeah. Like I said, I don't change my mind about what I said, but how I said it, I wish I could have done it better. And that's why it getting deleted, I was like, all right. I told myself, by the end of the day, after I cool down, I told myself, if it gets deleted and if I get banned from the subreddit, so be it. I'm not going to fight it. It is what it is. No lie, that LPZZ Batman review sold me on the figure. The Arkham Knight one? Nice. Because my whole, like, approach to my content is like, what kind of video do I want to see that hasn't been done? And that's why my reviews are also pretty long. Because I'm like, everybody's just quick to get the video out because clicks, because we got to get this thing out first. And I'm like, I understand that, but at the same time, these figures are getting pricier. Their, you know, quality is fluctuating and varying in some bad degrees. Wouldn't you want a much closer look with a macro lens that can focus on those details? I can focus on this thing, and that's why I do it. That's why my OCD is like, I need that shot. I need to go back in there and cut to this thing. Like, we have these tools. Why can't we use these tools? Meanwhile, we have people throwing up videos in one take with grammatical errors in their title. Whatever. Like I said, I'd rather just want to move on at this point, because then I'm going to crash out like I did on Reddit that day. I also hear YouTube's like contact are so bad that you never get a good response unless you complain online and get a lot of attention. Oh yeah, yeah. Especially when it comes to like copyright content and all that. Okay, so another figure that caught my interest and I'll admit looks kind of neat. Amazing Yamaguchi Revoltech Batman Beyond. And I think the reason for why a lot of people kind of took this and went, yo, is because in parentheses it says classic version coming soon. So not only do you have the classic symbols of the yellow oval Batman symbol here, DC, but also the classic Batman Beyond logo. And from what I can tell, a much more accurate looking, well, mostly accurate looking Batman Beyond figure. And I say mostly because if we take a little bit of a closer look, if I can, okay, kind of sort of right here, you'll see that we definitely have quite a bit of that very staple and on-brand stylization that Amazing Yamaguchi slash Revoltech is known for, in terms of kind of over-designing some of the aesthetical details of a figure, like the lining, the little bits of armor that are coming out of the spikes on his gauntlets. You see a little bit more of that techie kind of look on his glove right there. But then you get to the head sculpt that looks more or less like a direct replication of how he looked like in the cartoon. And then the wings that definitely don't look. They're trying to they're trying to do this thing where, like in the show, obviously the wings were coming from like the armpit, kind of like the webs on Amazing Fantasy Spider-Man. But they know that because they're Revoltech and they have to stylize it in their own unique style and brand and image, they have to resort with this manner that's reminiscent of the McFarlane, where the wings pretty much turn into quite literally wings. They're not like gliding things stretching out from the armpits and coming out from the mid torso here. It's actual wings that are now pegged onto pretty much the up around the tricep. I mean, I'm sorry, not the tricep, the trapezius area right here on top, and then turn into like this segmented things with the linings. That again is another little bit of a liberty that Amazing Yamaguchi is taking. That's different because in the show, from what I remember, the wing is just all one big red part. There's no lining, there's no divisions, there's nothing. Revoltech is now doing, like I said, their own thing and creating those little like bat-like sort of designs to the middle black lines there in the middle to make it look like those fingers like natural bats do. Whether or not that tickles your fancy is going to remain subjective. I kind of like it, but up until this point, this is quite literally the only shot we got, and we're most definitely going to need more product shots, because if there was one company that needs product shots to show us what the final result or the final product is going to look like, it's Revoltech, because like I said, they always favor that unique style that's great for posing, but when it comes to like neutral looks, they look a little like this, or sometimes the ball joints are a little bit too obvious. And because of the specific pose they put him here, I gotta be honest, it creates a much bigger reservation within me, because there's so much that's being covered up. Like, for example, the ball joints on the elbow, they're facing inwards, away from me. So I'm like, what do those look like when they're neutral? What do the legs look like? What are the inside of the wings? So we're going to need to see more. So interesting that they're creating a much more direct classic interpretation of the Batman Beyond, but we're most definitely going to see more, especially since, as somebody else pointed out on a separate subreddit post, I think a day later, Amazing Yamaguchi Revoltech is sort of getting a little stir crazy revolving around some of these comic book characters. Because as I think it was you, Brian, or somebody else pointed out, it does feel like we've been down this road before, because this is now the classic version of Batman Beyond, but prior to that we had that super mechy looking one on the bottom right with all the panels and the armor and the Cybertronic sort of look. I can't remember specifically where this was from. But then we have the Hellbat on the top left. That kind of looks like a... Best way that I can create an analogy for here. You know how in Pokemon you have the evolution stages? Like you have the Bulbasaur, the the Ivysaur and the Venusaur, or the Squirtle. Um, Holy shit, I'm blanking on the middle one's name. What tortoise? I think it was his name, and then Blastoise. What was the middle one's name? Charmander, Charmeleon, and Charizard. I when it came to those, starter three. Sorry, I'm a fire guy. I'm a Leo, so I'm a fire guy. I go for Charizard or Charmander. That's pretty much what we're dealing with here. We got Charmander, which is our new classic Beyond right there in the middle. Charmeleon, which is this mechanized one with like the solar panels. And then our Charizard's going to be this giant, admittingly pretty hard looking, but still rather stylized and rather mechanized and, like I said, over the top Hellbat at the top left with that signature Revoltech flare. And I don't know, like, it really has to speak to me. And right now, if they're able to at least lock in and deliver on quality, I would argue that maybe the one that out of these three, because I'm not counting the Spider-Man characters here just yet, but out of these three, the one that really speaks to me would probably be the classic one, but I can't fully put my eggs in that basket because, like I said, we need to see more. We need more shots because this is masking just a little bit too much that it almost makes me speculate as to what it is that Revoltech is kind of afraid of showing in a much more open pose for their initial announcement. And then for, to kind of add more fuel to the fire that is this argument that we're tackling, the the Gwenum right here mixed in with what looks like a shot from the game. No, this is the figure here. Oh yeah, it's the symbiote, the gooey symbiote, right? Yeah, I remember they released that too. So yeah, like this person putting it out. So the new Batman got announced. It looks great, and I love the classic look. But I start to notice the pattern with the recent comic book figures. They all have the same theme and look. They're all great figures in general. So I don't know. So I don't think there's a decline in quality, but I think the character selections are repetitive. Yeah, like after a while, you risk burning out your fan base or your consumer base. That after a while they're gonna be like, all right, I feel like I already have this figure. What started happening with me in Legends? So. Looks tight. Yamaguchi clapping back after Mestoy started taking out that. Not the worst argument there. Yeah, the take a look wasn't doing it for me. Yamaguchi is definitely going through a punch rock black and punch rock black and red phase. Squirtle, War Turtle, Blastoise. It wasn't War Turtle. Hold on. Why am I even asking this? We had the power of the internet on my side. Squirtle, Oh, it is War Turtle? Why does that... War Turtle. And then Blastoise. Oh, it is War Turtle. My bad. Sorry, Brian. I guess... I'm sorry. I thought it was wrong because I don't remember as a kid hearing it as War Turtle. Because I feel like that's redundant. Squirtle, War Turtle sounds the same. You know what I'm saying? Whereas Blastoise sounds very much different. Like tortoise. I get it. That's why I'm like, War Turtle? That sounds redundant. I never noticed that. And this is one of the OG 150. Wow. I guess they figured that so many people were gonna want Blastoise that they were like, we'll just call the middle one War Turtle because he's the middle child. Nobody gives a shit about him. Speaking of Mestoys, that Lethal Protector though. Yeah, that's the thing is like Mestoys. Even I was at one point thinking about picking up some Mestoys, but I'm like, again, slippery slope. CM Bronk, welcome to the stream. What did I miss? Inart BVS Batman looks amazing. And I wish I could own it. But I did start off the topic with a preamble of me saying that I'm pretty much in the phase of getting out of the 1/6 game because of how pricey and addictive it is and how I'm not exactly in the best state to be dipping in something like that. Unless Inart wants to send me a preview unit to review. Granted, that's likely not going to happen because, again, you got Justin's collection out there, which is great. You know, I like them, and it totally makes sense for that to happen. Hopefully, I can negotiate for the 112th whenever that comes around, because I'm definitely interested in the 112th. But yeah, we talked about BVS, Batman from Inart. We had a little bit of an impromptu discussion of how toy tubers are sort of operating right now online, specifically on YouTube, and how that space is sort of working out right now, and how my channel is sort of comparing in that regard. And one of these days, and who knows, maybe next week, I'll probably do a live stream anyways, even with the Marvel Legends stream on the horizon there. Maybe I'll dedicate a portion of that stream to kind of like do a State of the Union style of topic where I'm like, how the channel's doing and how YouTube is for action figure collectors or toy influencers or toy tubers, as they're being called now. What the state of that is in in 2026 versus back in the pandemic days, which is roughly where I started this channel. I started this channel in September 2021. Technically, I've been doing YouTube videos since 2007. Next year, it's gonna be 20 years that I started making YouTube videos, period. But this specific channel, 2021. Also, I probably should have mentioned that before, yeah, because some of you probably heard that and went, wait, what? Yeah, there's that probably also should explain why I crashed out on Reddit that days. Also because I may or may not have been kind of creating content with a mini DV camera that I would have to record on tape and import by watching it in real time onto my compact Presario, or not my family's compact Presario, in the other room over there with the worst lighting and absolutely no mics and no backup, using Windows Movie Maker to edit my content back in good old 2007 with the Spider-Man 3 movie line from Hasbro and what company? Was it also Hasbro who did the Transformer movie figures from the first Michael Bay movie? That was also Hasbro, right? Oh yeah, because they work with Takara Tomy. It was Hasbro. And when I covered those. So there's a bit of baggage there when I see others that just shoot stuff in one take with the one camera and no mic and get more views because they got the figure early. So yeah, I guess I'm kind of overdue for a therapist session. But not before we at least project our pain and our laughter towards this fucking thing. What are you guys thinking? The whole point of a con exclusive is to sell the exclusive. Guys, The whole point of a con exclusive is to sell the exclusive. Now, to be fair, they probably made an exclusive because they knew that they weren't going to sell that many. So they're like, all right, let's just make a set amount. Like 100, 150 maybe, max. And that's it. Sell half of them on the floor during SDCC, and then the other half online. And then that's it. No reprints, no nothing. That is it. We got this clothed 8-inch Batman figure from NECA. What is this supposed to be based on? Because it just says DC Comics Batman 8-inch cloth action figure. It doesn't say which incarnation. Celebrate over 80 years of Batman comics with the Dark Knight himself. I like how they put quotes Dark Knight. Like it's not really him. What is that head? I don't know if they were trying to go for like this nostalgic thing of when the figures used to be bad. But it just did not work in their favor. And it's funny because people were saying, oh, it's the head. I'm like, it's not the head. It's also the body. Look at the proportions. That looks like me in that suit. Bro, what the fuck? I guess the whole gimmick is that it's a cloth suit, but even then, I'm just... Exhibit A, the gong. Cloth suit. And this thing is a Hot Toys compared to this. I'm trying to hold it up with my face because I almost dropped it. This thing is a Hot Toys compared to this. Are you fucking kidding me? So yeah, you can miss me with this. Unless you want to send me a free sample, NECA, so you want me to review it, that would be a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it works out for them. And I've already seen a handful of people already mention that the head sculpt undoubtedly looks like the Bat Metal meme from the video. And if you want to look at it from that ironic angle, you can maybe make the argument to purchasing it. It's that it could be like a funny meme and own it ironically. You know, it's just like how I love watching The Room. Jesus Christ. So yeah, this exists. Currently listed at $45 and still currently set up for pre-order. Con exclusives are estimated to start shipping after SDCC concludes, so you still have to wait a cool 3 months. Your order will not ship until all pre-order items have arrived. We can recommend blah, 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 blah. I just out of sheer curiosity, what happens if I try to pre-order? How much is the subtotal after pre-ordering? And whatever. Whoa, CM Bronk. Thank you for the $10 super chat. Appreciate you. Jesus32, like your name. Welcome to the stream. I think it's funny that NECA has a limit of 4. Is anyone going to multiples of this? Batman looks maxing. God, I hate that fucking term. It's so stupid. God, this figure is something else. Why even make 8-inch stuff? And that too, it's like it's not. You can't skip. Whoa. The figure art's Spider-Man fell. Thankfully, I'm on carpet and it's fine. Cool. I'll just set it down, not risk it. Yeah, like it's 8-inch. It doesn't, so definitely doesn't scale with 6-inch Marvel Legends or classic DC Direct. It can't scale with McFarlane's. I don't think it could even scale with Fonjoy's, because Fonjoy's is 1/9, which is like 10 inches, right? Or 9. So it's like choose one or the other. Like, what the hell are you doing? Batman is essentially my main, and there's 0 chance I'm getting this. Does it at least come with a normal size head? No, that was it. Was there even a... By the way, the subtotal after shipping and taxes is $57.48. So from 45 we go over to 57.48. Yeah. Let me come out of there. It's stupid autofill. That was my fault. Showed my address really quick. I'll have to cut that part out. So if this stream goes unlisted afterwards, that's why. Yeah. Actually, you know what? It's probably for the better, because then I can unlist this and it won't cloud the feed for when I post the Joker review tomorrow. And I'll relist it after the Joker review is live with the edit. But there's the photo of all the accessories. There's no extra head. That's it. I guess if you were to put a gun to my head and say something good about this figure, it'd probably be the accessories. I like how you literally got like 4 different designs for batarangs. That way it's not just the same, because that's one, okay. Probably the only positive I can give the figure. Instead of giving us the same batarang like 4 times, where it's like, all right, twice okay, but then 4 times, I'm like, I'm not going to use all 4. But here it's like, each one has a different design. That's actually kind of sick. So it literally gives me the incentive to pose with each one. Different shots. Literally the only good thing I could say about this figure is that actually I do dig how it's 4 completely different designs for the batarangs. And then the rest of course over here. Wow. But that's it. Almost 60 for this. Not like anyone's getting an SDCC exclusive yet. It's nothing great. 50 pizzas coming your way. From where, though? That's the question. Those accessories are nice. Why they got a... I like the shade of black for the cape. Well, honestly, like, it's so cloth looking that I didn't really see what the shading of black it is. Big Rig, welcome to the stream. Yeah, that's insane. Yeah, I'm gonna have to cut that part out. All right. Yeah, I was like, did it really show? Yeah, it showed. Oh well. And I believe that was actually all the topics on the keep. Yes, it was. All right, guys, it's already about that time, so I'm gonna go ahead and jet on out of here. And like I said, I want to have this stream processed so that now I can go into that little snippet and cut it out, because I have to. Even though I don't know, like, you know, that's the state of YouTube right now with content creators like myself, where I'm like, is there really people like gravitating like that? Yeah. It's one of the few moments, moments of blessings, if that makes any sense, where I'm actually a little grateful that I'm not bigger than I am in terms of scope, in terms of following, because then I'm like, well, whenever things like that happen, I'm like, oh, could be worse. So anyways, voice is getting tired and I'm getting a little hungry. I think I might have a second bowel movement coming, so I think I'm gonna call it there, guys. It's a pretty good show, almost 2 hours, and we got through all the topics. all the stuff that accumulated over the week that I thought to myself, okay, there's enough here to talk about on the live stream. There may be enough to talk about next week with that Marvel Legends stream. Or like I said, if I feel compelled enough, maybe a shoot the shit style of stream where I talk about how things are going with YouTubers in the action figure space. Where, like I said, you have channels that are nothing but just dedicated to talking shit about other YouTubers, whether they deserve it or not. Still, the fact that the whole premise of the channel exists because of shit talking, and I'm like, where are the actual reviews? And there aren't any. And I'm fortunate to see that some of those channels are actually in my analytics of content that other people are watching, or the fact that the majority of the content that other people are watching are just shorts and not actual long form content. It's this whole, hoopla of how things are in 2026 to where I'm like, where do we go from here in regards to what's like the good content within the action figure space that people genuinely want to see on platforms like YouTube? Or are we done? Or is it a byproduct of the economy that's not going to get any better until the economy gets better? Where people could be like, oh, I can buy. Because at first, I will admit, I was a little arrogant in this mindset of like, oh, because the economy is bad, people are not going to watch videos because they can't buy the stuff. But then recently, there's been some people coming forward, vocalizing in like comments saying, no, like, I still watch the videos even though I can't afford the figure. Like a Hot Toys, or not a Hot Toys, but maybe like a Figuarts or whatever. But I still want to watch the video to see what's up. Live vicariously by taking a look at the figure without owning it. I'm like, I guess we're kind of bouncing back to that. I don't know if you guys have any input on that, but again, that's a topic that we can probably talk about in something like that in another stream. So who knows? But yeah, for now, I'm going to go ahead and sign out. And like I said, if you guys, once I end this is going to go unlisted because that bit's going to have to be trimmed out. But it is what it is. So keep an eye out for my review of the Nicholson Joker tomorrow. Because like I said, I'm going to unlist the stream and relist it either by Sunday or Monday. Preferably Sunday. So that hopefully by then that segment will be spliced out. But then the Joker review will do a little bit better in the algorithm when being pushed because what shows up on the channel. And in the meantime, I'll be working on other stuff. Specifically the game. Oh, I put it over there. The Marvel vs. Capcom's figure art Spider-Man. I might finally ship some stuff that Hobby Link Japan has been holding for me. Specifically, one item that they're actually about to say, hey, if you don't ship this thing that's been in here for almost 3 months, we're going to cancel it. So I'm like, all right. I'll finally ship something that's got like a shit ton of Mayfixes in there that recently got released. So we might finally pull the trigger on that. And like I said, in the meantime, I'm still looking for that Damian Batman, but I haven't had any great luck. And something tells me I probably won't until it gets finally mass released on other storefronts like Best Buy, Target. I think the Walmart craze that happened a few weeks ago is kind of gone, come and gone. So probably just gonna have to wait, or probably just order my own through the necessary channels like Walmart. I think Walmart has it cheaper and they're actually offering free shipping, so I might do it through there. But at the same time, I don't know. I don't know if I want it that bad enough, so I haven't pulled the trigger on it yet. Keep your chin up. The YouTube game is a marathon, not a sprint. You got this. I understand Phenonymous, and I respect the words. I appreciate the words. Thank you. Greatly appreciate it. It's just that it's a little tough to think of it as a marathon when the marathon is literally coming up on 20 years. You know what I'm saying? So it to say that I'm feeling it is a understatement. 20 years, Gonna catch the replay. I missed all the early talk. Inart covered. Inart BVS. Well, yes, that was towards the first half of the stream, but like I mentioned, Jesus, I'm gonna have to put this on unlisted to make an edit, and you know how long YouTube takes to cut out something out of a stream, out of a long form video like this. It's practically a whole day, so don't look for this until probably like Sunday. So you'll have to watch the replay hopefully on Sunday. So Sorry about that. That's my fault. So, anyways, Jesus 32, Phenonymous, Peppa Instigator, a Big Rib, Skelly Bones, Alex, Jason's Electric was here earlier. CM Bronk, thank you for dropping by and also for the $10 super chat. I greatly appreciate you. What's another one? What's another name I saw in here? I know I saw Action Figures by Piero. What was another one? DS G5Q. I could have sworn there was one. Oh, and JM Herrera. And I think that's about it. And anybody else who lurked and watched by curiously, I appreciate you guys. Take care and stay humble. See you later.